Okay, so if you have ever felt like you are just losing the battle against an endless list of repetitive, manual tasks, this explainer is for you. We're going to break down how you can use some seriously powerful automation to get your time back and focus on what actually grows your business.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You're copying data from a form into a spreadsheet, sending the same follow-up email again and again, or manually updating your project management board. These things aren't just tedious, they are an absolute drain on your creativity and your most important resource, your time.
So at its core, what is workflow automation really? It's just about making your software do all the heavy lifting for you. Think of it like creating a digital assembly line, where information just flows perfectly between the tools you already use every single day. It lets you step back and, actually focus on the bigger picture. So how do we actually do this? How do we make it happen? Well, we're going to look at a platform that was built specifically to tackle this exact challenge, Make.com. It's a tool that really turns the whole promise of automation into a reality. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like you're playing with digital Legos, right? You've got all these different apps, your email, your CRM, your spreadsheets, whatever. Make lets you snap them together in pretty much any combination you can dream up to build something really powerful. And the best part? You do it all without writing a single line of code. And this, right here, this visual shows you the platform's biggest strength. Instead of just giving you a list of steps, Make gives you this visual canvas. You can literally see how the information moves from one app to the next. It makes building even really complex multi-step automations feel totally intuitive because you're just mapping it all out like a flowchart. Every automation in Make, which, by the way, they call a scenario, is built from these three simple pieces. You've got the trigger. That's the starting gun, right? A new email comes in or a form gets submitted. Then you have the actions. That's everything you want to happen after that trigger fires. And the whole thing together? That's your scenario, the complete blueprint you just created. Pretty simple, right? Now look, you can't really talk about automation without bringing up the other big name in the game, Zapier. But this isn't about which one is better in general. It's about which one is the right tool for your specific job, especially when you need to do more than just the basics. So here's the bottom line. If you need a quick, straight-line automation, when this happens, then do that, Zapier is amazing. It's fast, and it has a massive library of apps. But if your workflow needs to think, if you needed to have branching paths or loops or handle complex data, that's where Make's Visual Builder and its pricing model really start to shine. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Listen to what actual users are saying. This review from G2 just hits the nail on the head. They call it a dream tool because of its deep customization. It's a tool that really grows with you. It's simple enough to get started, but it's powerful enough to handle these incredibly complex workflows as your needs get bigger. All right, so theory is great and all, but what does this power actually look like when you put it to work? Let's dive into a real-world example to see how these automations can lead to some seriously impressive business results. So, meet Tailored Roast. Now, this is a demo coffee company, but it's built to show off a really powerful end-to-end automated system. From the very first moment a customer finds them to way after they make a purchase, automation is just humming along in the background, creating this seamless, totally personalized journey. So for starters, just by powering personalized product recommendations, like imagine a quiz that suggests the perfect coffee blend for someone, businesses have seen their conversion rates jump by as much as a whopping 300%. And we're not talking about some generic, you might also like pop-up. This is a data-driven process that connects a customer's specific tastes directly to a product, which makes that path to purchase almost impossible to resist. And, it gets even crazier than that. When you take that same data and use it to create super-targeted email campaigns, the potential jump in revenue can be up to 760%. I mean, that is the magic of sending the right message to the right person at exactly the right time. Instead of just blasting your entire email list, you're talking to smaller groups with content they're going to care about. That's the real power of smart automation. Look, these huge numbers are incredible, but let's be real. The day-to-day value of automation often comes from the small, clever hacks that just save you time and headaches. So let's look at a few pro tips that were shared by the Make.com community. Okay, these are fantastic tips from people who are in the trenches with this stuff every day. They cover everything from testing webhooks faster to setting up automatic warning alerts. But my two personal favorites are these. Debug with the clock lets you test any single piece of your automation without having to start all over again, which is a huge time saver, and using a set variable module to define your data. It's genius. It keeps your scenarios clean and so much easier to troubleshoot down the line.
So we've covered a ton here, from the basic ideas to some powerful real-world examples and even some insider tips. So let's bring it all home. What is the ultimate point of all of this?
It's really this simple. Every single task you automate is time that gets handed right back to you. It's time you can spend on strategy, on being creative, on actually talking to your customers. You know, the stuff a machine can't do. The stuff that actually grows your business. And that really is the final question, isn't it? Think about your own workday. What are those repetitive tasks that just slow you down and drive you crazy? Now that you see what's possible, where are you going to start? Thanks for joining us.